Good morning. Welcome to the Culinary Delight Show. I'm Ken Coe. Good Saturday morning to everyone on the Treasure Coast, and thank you for joining us on Coast 101.3 for the Culinary Delight Show. Again, welcome to the Culinary Delight Show with Ken Coe. I am the owner of Southern Pride Gourmet Foods in Stuart. We are located at 453 Monterey Road at the corner of Willoughby at the Vendors Mall. This morning, I have a great guest, Richard Stein, which is the owner of All Florida Investigations and Security Services, located in Port St. Lucie, Florida. And welcome to the show, Richard.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here.
We're glad you're here. Richard and I met. There's an interesting thing the way we met. We met at the Martin County Fair this past year, and his lovely wife was there every day. He was there every day. And we had adjoining booths, and we had some great discussions the entire 10 days. And I was so impressed with Richard in all of his discussions and the professionalism that he had, because he likes cooking and a bunch of other things too besides his regular job. But one thing that I like about Richard is that he is straightforward, and that is a good point to be. He doesn't beat around the bush, and that's the way I like for everybody to be also. I did find out one thing about Richard. He is a great cook, and he also loves good wine, and he loves to cook for his wife. Okay. And he has a really interesting story about his wife, which they have not been married that long. And it's interesting. Can you tell us a little bit about your life in the early days up till today with this lovely lady that you're married to now?
Well, funny enough, we actually went to middle and high school together. We were friends. She was more friends with my brother than she was with me, but we were friends, and nothing intimate, nothing special, to go upon. So, after high school, everybody just does their thing. I was doing my thing, and found my way up to St. Lucie County in an effort to open up my business. And the next thing I did to try to expand myself was join the chamber. And lo and behold, I go to stand up to introduce myself, and there's my wife over there at the other side of the room. And she comes running over to me, and we knew each other. Right when I saw her, I knew exactly who she was. And lo and behold, we were married 5 weeks later.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing what love will do, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's for sure. It was just nothing planned. It just was so spontaneous. But I'm telling you, Cupid had a double portion in that arrow.
Well, that's interesting, because I know that in meeting her, and I think you went on your first date, this type thing, instead of taking her out to a fine restaurant of everything, you did things a little bit different. And tell us what you did.
I cooked for her. Instead of taking her out to dinner, I cooked her a nice, fabulous meal at my house. I got swordfish steaks that were like 1 inch thick. I made her some grilled asparagus, some rice pilaf, made her some yummy crab cakes, and of course, it's not complete unless you can throw in some chocolate and ice cream. So I made chocolate fudge brownies and melted warm ice cream. It was awesome.
Well, now
amazing dinner.
Is that all you had?
Well, there may have been 1 or 2 bottles of wine.
Oh. But that's great, because I know that you love 19 Crimes wine.
Such great wine.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah, we love red wine, but 19 Crimes is really, really just so.
So you didn't like any of that wine I brought to you during the
I tell you what, we've already been to Aldi's. Shameless plug to Aldi's, but
anyway,
that's good wine.
But anyway, that I think that's a great story, the way you guys got together in all those years. And I know that it's really true love, because I can see her in her face that she jumps up and down, every time and gives that big smile. And the same with you, because it is great. And I just love being around you guys and talking to you. But as we go through our interview today and talking, a lot of things have changed over the past 25, 30 years in our society. And sometimes you think it's getting worse than others. And I think one of the big things that is everybody should know is first aid. And the first aid is an interesting thing, because I used to be a first aid instructor back in the 60s and the 70s, and I know things have changed, because we did CPR when I taught school. Our entire school went through the CPR program every year. Yeah. And even the people that worked before, we repeated it, which is a good thing, because we know it can save lives. But now we've got other aspects of the AED and all that kind of items that you can do and what you can do to, but let's just go to first aid. Now, you teach first aid, you do all types of things in saving people's lives, because saving a life, seconds count.
So true.
I mean, just like this little, on the news last night, I saw these two little children walk into a hot tub down in some motel, and two adults are in the hot tub, and they just walk in. Nobody sees these two kids, and they've gone under.
Wow.
2 minutes, and the only way they saved this baby's life was that the security camera, whoever was looking at it, called down stairs, and the guy went and jumped in the pool, and the kid was in the pool 2 minutes.
Wow.
And luckily brought him back,
Mhm.
which was good. But first aid is a key thing. But what is the first thing we need to know about first aid?
Well, I mean, that's first thing I would definitely say is know how to do CPR and know what to do as a first responder. Like, you're the first one that's going to come onto the scene. Best thing to do is know how to do CPR proficiently, know how to know the steps of if somebody's bleeding, you want to stop that bleeding. You want to know about making sure you can read the signs of somebody that could potentially have an accident or have an illness. If they're sweating profusely, if they look pale or ashy. I mean, there's a lot of different signs that you can see just walking down the street. You can see somebody acting a little odd. You may think that the person may be, drunk or something, but the person may actually be having a stroke or a heart attack or heat stroke or something. So being able to notice the signs is probably the first key.
And I'll give you two great examples. It's one example, but two different times. I do festivals every weekend, basically. And I've had this happen twice in the past 10 years. I have, and both of them ladies, they're walking up to my booth and they're holding their chest. And, giving it this, I can't breathe sign. And, of course I know what to do, but I'm trying to find out more of what's going on here. And she, they're pointing down her throat.
Mhm.
Well, she's got something hung in her throat.
Right.
So I get her and I, boom, gave her the old thump and hypnotic move, and this piece of candy comes out.
Oh, wow.
So, and nobody around even knew this was happening. And the thing about it is, I don't know how many people around would have known to do that.
Right.
I
Again,
don't,
looking at the
and
signs.
these things need to be taught to people.
So true.
And I had the same thing happen again. Again, a lady, the exact same thing, but not a piece of candy. She had a piece of fruit hung in her throat, and she couldn't swallow it. And again, same thing. Of course, I had to do 2 or 3 times with her until it came out. Of course, it was so big that I don't know why she didn't try to chew it up. Maybe she was trying to stop herself up. I don't know.
Must've been delicious.
But it's great. Everybody needs to know what to do in first aid, and I think that if everybody knew the first aid techniques, that we could save some lives. But also, you've got to be prepared for these things, because you never know when you're going to get cut.
So
I mean,
true.
seriously cut. How to stop the bleeding. Pressure point.
Right.
All that kind of stuff, or direct pressure, and.
And even
gonna-
young children that are babysitting.
Right. yeah.
It's very good to know these
All
days.
right, to the Culinary Delight Show. I'm Ken Coe. Today we're talking to Richard Stein, who is the owner of All Florida Investigations and Security Services Incorporated in Port St. Lucie, Florida. And we're going to get back to the discussion we had before we went to the break. We were talking about first aid, and we talked about first aid in general and some of the things that you need to get to know. But I think one big thing we need is CPR. Everybody needs to know how to use CPR. And I'm talking about even kids need to know how to say CPR, because I've seen squirrels even saved with CPR and those type things, But firemen and on dogs and all types of things have saved
True.
that. Now, tell us a little bit about what CPR is, Richard, and what people should be trained, how they should be trained, and I know that you teach these courses.
Mhm.
So.
Yeah, I teach all these courses. CPR is cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Basically, it's the physical aspect of pumping the heart, and then after you're done doing your 30 compressions of pumping the heart and pumping the blood through the vital organs, then you give 2 breaths, and then you repeat that cycle until EMS gets there. but basically you're functioning as the beating of the heart, so it can circulate the blood to all the vital organs.
Now, you said the compressions. Now, I know that has changed over the years.
Yes.
I mean, big time. Now, tell us how that has changed. You said, what, 30 now?
Yeah, now it's 30 chest compressions and then 2 breaths. It used to be, I believe, 15 in one.
One, right.
Now you do 30 straight through and then 2 breaths. And they also are a little bit lower on the sternum. I had a young lady come to my office last week, and she was a little bit higher on the chest. I was like, oh, you're a little bit too high. She's like, I've been doing this for the same way for the past 20 years. I said, glad you came in here then.
Right. Well, that's a good example.
Very true.
That needed to change to make sure it's not having surgery, you know.
Right.
Right. You need to know exactly where we're going, updates and that type of thing. But now, I know CPR, do you teach CPR to kids?
I do. I teach to, probably 13, 14-year-old kids that are mainly doing babysitting, and also that have sick parents. And I also teach at daycares. I taught a daycare of 11 people a couple days ago, and that was phenomenal. Had a great discussion, great hands-on practice, really, really good crowd.
I noticed when I was an instructor for first aid and that type of thing, doing the CPR, and I know we went into some of the elementary schools also to do that, but those kids just love to learn this stuff. I mean, they can learn it 10 times faster than adults,
Yep.
but, they're down really getting it down and doing a really good job.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I am so glad that you're teaching those classes in those schools. But now another phase of first aid, and this is something that's really been, I guess, recently or in the past few years, called AED. Tell us about what AED is.
That's an automatic external defibrillator. Basically, it's like you ever see on the TV shows where they have the 2 pads and they tell you clear, and they push the buttons on the side of the handles of the paddles, and they shock the person. This is essentially the same thing without the paddles. There's 2 pads. You put them in specific spots on the chest. Push the button on the box, and it'll let you know. It'll sense the rhythm of the heart, and it'll sense if there's any action, sense if there's a time that needs to give a shock, so on and so forth. But it's like it's a defibrillator.
Now I know that they have these on all airplanes.
Yeah, they're everywhere. Cruise ships, businesses, malls, they're everywhere now.
And maybe the technology is going to be where that, okay, you got your watch, and maybe push a button, and maybe that's going to be it because
Right.
of all these things that's coming out
Mm-hmm.
in the past 2 or 3 years.
Right.
Because I know the technology is just amazing on the AED. Now, is there anything else that you could add to that, maybe or not?
Probably not too much. It's just it'll let you know if you need to do a shock or not.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it'll tell you.
Now, one thing I want to know about it, okay, somebody's in trouble, whatever that may trouble is. Okay, I've got an AED machine.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's the first thing I need to look at to figure out if I need to use this AED machine on them?
Mainly if you're doing chest compressions, CPR, and the person is non-responsive after that, and after like a first set, if the person is not coming back, then you'll need to use an AED, so you can shock them.
So, usually how many tries do you have to do to get the person to come back?
I mean, after the first or second, if there's no response and they're still unresponsive, then you want to do the AED.
AED,
Mhm.
okay.
And you want to continue, if there's not an AED machine and you've directed somebody to call 911,
Yeah.
you really should keep doing the CPR until 911 gets there.
Now, do you need to check the pulse or arteries or
Nothing like that.
anything like that
Nothing like
before
that.
you use this?
Nope.
Okay,
Just
that's a really good point there. I'm
Mhm.
glad that.
Good thing
you brought
about
that. Now, one thing about, okay, I've got a certification, and we'll talk personally here in a minute. My certification goes back to 1960.
We could
okay?
renew you.
Yeah, I mean, I need to be renewed.
Sign them up.
But don't you think that these people that's got certifications, whatever year it may be,
Mhm.
with all the new techniques that's come out, that type of things, like the lady was talking about in the hand in the wrong place,
Yes.
or that type of thing, don't you think they need to get renewed?
Absolutely.
Now, tell us how you can get, or they can get renewed. So how are they going to contact you?
The most effective way is to go to my website, securityinflorida.com. There's you can sign up for all my classes, all my different things on there, and it has a lot of information. You can sign up and pay with your credit card, and then we would send you a confirmation email with a link to do what you have to do. And it's extremely simple and vital.
Now, what if they don't have a computer?
Well, hopefully they can get to a computer or somebody that has, or if they want to just call us, they can call us on the phone.
There you go.
Yeah, they can call us on the phone and we'll help them set it up. 772-595-5335.
And he answers on the first ring.
Absolutely, we're the second.
Because I talked to him yesterday, and I love that first ring.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to a human being in the United States of America.
That's right,
Which
that
was
would be
another good thing.
That's right.
But everybody that's listening to us, I think that if you need to get certified, Richard can handle all that stuff because he's got the American Red Cross certification classes, and he is involved in this every day. He does adult first aid, he does pediatrics in all the schools and that type of thing, and he's happy to do all of these classes, and everybody can get their certification up so they can learn all the techniques of first aid and also CPR and the AED. And I think, like we said earlier, I think a lot of businesses now, especially if they've got a lot of employees, they're getting the machines. And I just saw a thing on the news here, I guess a year ago, about how many people in this area, especially West Palm Beach area, are getting these machines because it can save somebody's life.
Oh yeah, totally. They're not extremely expensive, but the good thing about businesses, if they contact me, I can actually come to the business. I bring a TV, I bring a TV stand, I bring all my devices, and it's done right there in the business. I can go to somebody's house, I can go to their job, wherever they need to come, make it convenient for them.
So we could teach the whole business the same day in the same program.
Yep.
Man, what a deal that is.
Yes. And it's convenient because I come to them.
That's right.
Yes.
That's very good. They can save all that gas. And,
Oh yeah.
all that time.
Exactly.
Well, that's really nice because, again, make sure everybody gets your certification renewed because you need that too. Now, another phase of Richard's business, and I think this is a really interesting part of his business, is the security officer certification. Now, things have really changed again over the past 20, 25 years. You know, I can remember when you didn't need anybody's security to watch you over every time you moved or whatever. And then with all these people running around, whatever they do every day to mess up everything, that you, a security officer, I know you have certifications for them, but does everyone that is a security officer have the same credentials?
Not really, no. They're similar because the security officer will have to have an unarmed security license, and then an armed guard will have to get their armed license. But as far as the security company, that's extremely important to know that if you do hire a company, make sure that they are legit.
Well, I think they're not only legit, but they dress nice. I have seen some security officers that look like they've been through 4 nights sleep and been on the beach for a week.
Right.
You know, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, I would not want one of those
Very true.
one of those people doing security because they'd probably be asleep and whoever. Now, I just had a thought, and you can tell me the answer to this. I go down to West Palm Beach, you know, quite often, make deliveries or whatever. And sometimes I come back at night. Now, on the highway, I think it's 826, whatever, it goes down toward the parallel with the interstate. They got these 2 gigantic complexes, and they have security gates, you know, and all this kind of stuff. But I see this golf cart going up the sidewalk with a green light flashing at night every time they're there.
Wow.
Now, is that for security reasons, or is that what you think?
It probably is for security. I don't think they're supposed to be on a sidewalk driving on the side of the roadway, but
Well, that's what I thought.
yeah, so it's probably a little bit out of his zone area, but yeah, likely it is security.
Yeah. But they have them every time I've been back there at night. I didn't know if it's guarding those bushes that you can't see through,
Maybe.
or if they were guarding, you know, whatever.
Maybe.
But I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
But another thing too, I see tinted houses a lot. I see vacant houses a lot. You know, do you need security for that?
Absolutely, especially for a house that's tented for bugs, because it's typically very vulnerable. The doors are open, the windows are open, everything is all vulnerable for attack. Somebody can just have a gas mask or even just wrap a shirt around their face, go under the tent, and they'll have access to the inside of somebody's house, and nobody's none the wiser. So definitely good to have security on a tented home.
Yeah, it's interesting you brought that up because I just saw something on the news here 3 or 4 years ago where somebody actually did that,
Mhm.
and he never came out
Wow.
because he killed him.
Yep.
You know, all the whatever they
The
put in
poison,
the
yeah.
put in there. But that's real interesting on that. But we're going to be going to a break here in a moment. We're going to be talking about some more about the credentials of a security officer, and I've got a couple things I want to ask you about. I think that real important things that people should realize on the getting things, I guess, guarded, if you want to use that word,
Sure.
making sure that's covered. But we'll be coming back more with Richard, and we'll be right back with more of the Culinary Delight Show. The Culinary Delight Show. I'm Ken Coe. Today, in this good Saturday morning, we're talking to Richard Lane. Before we went to the break, we were talking about getting people certified and becoming a security officer. And if a person, the way unemployment is, a person might think about, I thought about maybe being a security officer, and maybe that would be a good job, and I could get a job and pay my rent. And you certify these people, and they go through the training. Is that a good idea?
It is. It's a great idea. It's a very good career, especially if you get hooked up with a great company, good pay, good benefits. But definitely a great idea to expand your horizon. Sure.
And these security certifications, like going to even sport events, I guess they hire security companies to do that.
Mm-hmm.
That
true.
would be great if you teamed up with a security company and went to see the football game all at the same time.
There you go.
I think that would be a good thing.
So true. There is security everywhere. I mean, the cost differential of the security officer to a police officer, you're saving at least $20 to $25 per guard.
Right.
So they are saving a lot of money.
Well, I know that, I think in the state of Florida now, I may be wrong on this, but I think they passed a legislative, I call it the pricing of state troopers when they're off duty, they're on these construction jobs on
Right.
the weekend.
Right.
They have to pay them X amount of dollars now.
Right.
It used to be like whatever it was,
Mhm.
but I think it's like double
Wow.
what it was. I don't know that, but I remember back in my mind someone was talking about that. But anyway, I was looking at disaster response, man-made or natural. Now, I could think back to all the hurricanes we've had, that type of thing. But now, would that come under hurricanes for a disaster response?
Yeah, it could. It could definitely. And there's a lot of companies that are FEMA certified and FEMA registered. And FEMA will actually contact companies like mine to go and assist with disaster relief and securing perimeters and areas and things of that nature. A lot of times, especially like my vehicle and several of my vehicles, we have lights and different marking techniques. So they would utilize my company for that.
Oh, fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Just hope we don't get any hurricanes this year.
I'm with you.
Definitely don't want to get any.
That's right.
But now, I know the big thing now is security systems.
Yes.
And I know you probably don't install security systems, but I think where you would come in, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I want you to tell me what you would do. Okay, I see cameras all the time on the news that somebody's taking a picture of whoever's trying to break in the house or whatever, and you can't even see the guy's clothes or whatever. It's so faint that why did they buy these things?
Right.
And maybe they had a company put them in, maybe they didn't. But if I was putting cameras up, I wanted to make sure I saw the person.
Right.
Now, if somebody wanted to put a security system in, instead of just buying one off the internet or going down to wherever and buying one, what would you suggest?
They could call somebody like me that's a professional. We can come out and do a threat assessment and a site survey of their home or business, which is something I do often, and basically survey the property, look at danger zones and threat hazards and things of that nature. We can articulate where we're going to put a camera, what kind of camera, if it's going to be night vision camera, so on and so forth. But there are many different techniques, and that's one of my specialties, to do a site survey and threat assessment.
Now, in that assessment, do you ever put signs up, watch out for rattlesnakes?
Big dogs.
Big dogs. Be aware of the dog.
Beware of big dog.
But that's good, because I think that people should contact people like you to assess because today, every day on TV, I see, somebody's breaking in, somebody's doing this. I just saw it's real interesting this morning on the news. I get up early and I watch the news. This guy is in a pet store. And yes, Florida, You know, it's always happening in Florida, you know.
Mhm.
This guy's walking around, looking around. Finally, he steals a big cobra, whatever, one of these big snakes, about 9 foot long.
Oh my gosh, probably a python.
Yeah, python, that's what he was. And he sticks it down in his pants and walks out the door.
No, man.
I mean, you know,
Kidding?
it's like, well, of course, a good security camera. I mean, you
Right.
can see him. What was really interesting about him, some of these things, he gets it, he looks straight at the camera. Look at me, you know, I'm stealing the snake.
My
But
goodness.
that was on the news this morning. But another phase of your business is private investigations.
Yes.
And I know there's all types of private investigations. Companies and individuals need information. And today, again, it's totally different than it was 15, 20 years ago. I mean, you have private investigations, that type of thing, but nothing like today. Now, I'm assuming I cannot do that.
Right.
Um,
Can't assume anything
no,
these days.
Nothing,
Check it out.
Nothing. Now, in investigations, or private investigation, that doesn't mean I'm undercover all the time looking for something or looking at things. But say you want to hire somebody, or a company wants to hire somebody, and in this state, it's crazy again on the type of things happens. Now, I think pre-employee.
Yeah.
You know, if I was a company, you know, I don't have any employees except 2 of us, but I want to know who these employees are. Now, if they've been up in Indiana and they killed somebody 20 years ago,
Right.
I want to make sure that at least I may know something about this, or if it's a doctor that committed something out in California, whatever, and he's moving to Florida because I think we're the haven of all this stuff that we get.
Yeah, find out there is a mecca of all that here, but we can do comprehensive background searches for businesses and individuals, find out their history, where they're from, what they've done, and a comprehensive background on any employee or contractor is crucial these days.
Well, you said contractor, and that brings up a great point because I see this again all the time. Someone, I gave a person $10,000, a contractor, and I haven't seen them in 30 days. I can't get a hold of them. I don't know where the phone number, nobody answers the phone.
Right.
And I don't understand how people will give money to a
Perfect stranger.
contractor, stranger, whoever it may be,
Right.
because I'm not going to give him anything.
Right.
You know.
Check them out. Yes.
Well, I'm not going. If I check him out, I'm not going to give him anything yet.
Right.
Because we're going to have a contract
That's right.
signed, and we're going to have it notarized, and we're
Yes.
going to have. I'm going to find out probably 10 people he's doing whatever he
Get
did for them.
reference letters.
Right. But it's amazing, and I don't even know. Probably half the contractors here don't even have a license. You know, I don't know. You know, that's another thing. Now, if you're registered with the state, or you know whatever, and that's where you come in. You check all this stuff out,
Exactly.
and that way you don't lose your money.
Exactly.
Right, and I think that's another good thing. Now, I think another phase of investigation, renters.
Yes.
And that's a big thing also.
Yes.
I see where that, okay, I rented this to something, now they just left in the middle of the night and the entire thing's messed up.
Right.
They took my water heater and they took my kitchen and, you know, whatever. And I know that happens a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So, would you suggest that you're having a prospective renter?
Absolutely. I have several real estate agents that are under my, I guess, under my business guys that when they need somebody to have a background check, they contact me with the individual's information so I can run their comprehensive background check and make sure that they're safe to be a renter. Absolutely.
I think that's really good. I don't know why people don't do that. But now, another thing I ran across, explain what internal loss is.
Internal loss, that's like if there's some theft inside the company. So oftentimes I will be paid as like I'm a new employee, and I'll make buddies with people, and really I'm keeping my eyes out and finding out if there's any type of loss or theft, and then I'll report it to management, and they'll do what they need to do.
Oh, you're like that undercover boss.
Yeah, well,
that's on
kind
TV.
of.
On TV.
Kind of.
I'm not the undercover boss, but I'm
That's
undercover.
right. I'm undercover.
Right.
Yep.
Well, that's good. Now, fraud detection.
Fraud detection.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about fraud detection.
Fraud can be anywhere into credit card fraud, internet fraud, any type of civil tort against somebody would be considered a fraud.
And there's probably a lot of that goes on too.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot of.
Welcome back to the Culinary Delight Show. I'm Ken Coe. My guest today is Richard Stein from All Florida Investigations and Security Services Incorporated in Port St. Lucie, Florida.
Look at that. You
And
got it
I
right.
even got it right. That's amazing. That's amazing. Prior to going to the break, we were talking about individual information and getting information on individual and companies, and we was talking about pre-employment and contractors, that type of thing. But you know, here in this area in Florida, we have a tremendous amount of sex offenders that live, especially within 40 or 50 miles of where we are
So
at the
true.
moment. And I'd want to know, if there's that many of them out there, I'd want to know who lived close to me.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if you have kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, how would they go about that? I mean, contact you?
Well, they can contact me. Oftentimes, the local sheriff's office will have it on their website. They can go to a sexregistry.org, I think it is, as well, to find out who's in their neighborhood. But yeah, something like that is public information, and is definitely something vital to find out, especially if you have children.
And so if they wanted to call you, what number would they call you?
Absolutely, they can call me anytime, day or night, 772-595-5335.
And he answers the phone,
And I answer the phone.
which is good.
And you can also contact us on our website, securityinflorida.com, and there's a contact page. You can even just slip us an email through that, so you can get in touch with us and we can help you out.
Fantastic. Now, one other thing I want to mention about information here that, and I see this all the time. I'm at the bank, and I have somebody comes in and says, "Where do I find a notary?" And a lot of people just don't know where to go.
So true.
I've been to the post office before, and they come in, "Do y'all have a notary here?" It's amazing. Well, the people at the post office, they don't know how to come into the post office and mail things anyway, but it's amazing. They don't, how many stamps do I want? I had a lady, speaking of that one time, had a lady for 23 minutes, I timed this, 2 years ago, sat in the post office looking every stamp there was in the post office,
goodness.
instead of, and nobody looks at the stamps, it's 40 cents or 50 cents or whatever it is, do it. But now, you're a notary,
I am a notary.
and they can get a hold of you anytime, 24 hours a day,
Yep.
and you're mobile,
I am mobile.
and you'll get right to them, and they
Yeah.
don't have to worry about that.
That's so true. I've had many times people contact me that their loved one is sick in the hospital, they can't leave the room. Can I come to the hospital and notarize the documents for them? Come to people's homes that are signing mortgages at night for refinancing, go to their homes. So yeah, mobile notary is extremely prevalent, especially in this day when people are on the go and on the go.
Right.
Absolutely.
I mean, with all the contracts and all this stuff, buying houses and that type of thing, yes, and I think that is a great assessment for you to be able to do that and
Absolutely.
get into that. Now, let's go back to hiring security guards. I know you want to say something a little bit about that. Let's get to that before we get into the other phase of it. What would you like to talk about?
Well, basically, if a company or corporation is looking to hire security guards, they should contact a reputable company like myself. They should also do their legwork and check on the division site, freshfromflorida.com, make sure that the individual is registered. And when they have that interview with the company, they should make sure that they have their licenses, they have their insurances, and they're legit. Maybe even have a detailed training of what they do for training. But definitely important to hire the right agency to do your security.
And I know that all Florida Investigation and Security Services Incorporated out of Port St. Lucie, Florida, where everything is serious about their business and they're trustworthy, and they are right on the spot anytime. And anytime that you need them for any reason, they're there. And especially if you need something notarized in the middle of the night, I can, we can just go anywhere and do it, right?
Exactly.
That's good. But everybody should, if you're going to hire a security guard or a security company, you should know who you're hiring, because again, hire somebody that dresses well and is professional and looks good.
Very
And,
true. In my 20-year career, I've seen a lot of security companies that really are not companies. So definitely check them out.
Just because they got CO period.
Yeah, just because they wear a security uniform doesn't mean they're actually a company.
Yeah, I saw a security guard the other day. Now, I don't know if dress colors have anything to do with this or not. You could probably answer this question. Now, I would not want a security guard dressed in white. Espe- you know, if I'm undercover, I'm a security guard, or, you know, or whatever, does that make any sense?
Maybe white is not the best option. Well, it also is going to depend on what the detail is, but maybe white's not the best option.
He had a white shirt on, had a security guard on the back of it.
Right.
Yeah, well, I thought that was a little strange because I've never seen this. But now, another thing that I think that we should discuss is misdemeanor bonds. Now, first of all, bonds. I think people have a misconception of bonds, or they don't know what a bond is. You know, if you go, you see these companies, you know, bondsman, you know, this type thing, and you got it on the window, and I'm
Right,
open
bail
24
bonds.
hours a day, a bail bondsman, or or whatever it may be. But in what is a bond? Let's go with that route first. What is a bond?
Basically, a bail bond is a way to get out of jail when somebody doesn't have the full dollar amount of the bond that's required for release. So they'll come to a company like mine, and they'll pay a 10% fee. We'll actually put up the bail so they can get out.
Yeah, but where does the money come from?
Money is a promise.
Okay.
So essentially, it's a blank check. It's actually a signed check of the dollar amount that we'll give to the jail system, and the clerk system has access to that. And that way, we guarantee the person's appearance in court.
Well, does that come from you, or does that come from some bank or some company that supplies the money?
It'll come to somebody like me as a bail bondsman, but our bonds are backed by an insurance company.
Oh, that's
we're
what
like
I was
an
looking
agent.
at. Okay, you're
Mhm.
you're an agent through the insurance company.
Yes.
But if this guy decides to run off to outer Mongolia somewhere and nobody can find him, then what happens?
Then the bondsman actually has to make good on that bond, turn it into money. But that's also why we're given arrest authority. So if we know somebody that didn't go to court and they're on the run, we're allowed to go find them, arrest them, take them back to jail.
I like that.
We like that a
Yeah.
lot.
And you can go undercover to some of these foreign countries, and I've seen that happen many times, back many years ago. But that's good, because, you know, I didn't know how all that worked. I knew basically what a bond was. But giving false names, to me, that's a big thing today.
Oh, yeah.
It's, now, we've been talking to Richard Stein from the All Florida Investigation Security Services Incorporated in Port St. Lucie, Florida, where everything is serious about the business and the trust and the people, and he can do anything you need for investigation. And I'm looking forward to talking to Richard after our show about some other things, and I know he's opening up a new office in Port St. Lucie. And Richard,
Yes.
tell us real quick where that Port St. Lucie office is going to be.
That is going to be at the Carlton Plaza, right off of Hancock and US 1. And we should be there. We're having a grand opening April 1st, so please come out and check us out. And we look forward to seeing you. If you have any questions, anything you're needing to look for as far as business is concerned, you can go to my website, securityinflorida.com. You can go to my bail website, the go-to-bondsman.com, or call me anytime, day or night. I'll be happy to answer your questions, 772-595-5335.
Richard, thank you for being on the show. And
you
I'll
for
tell you,
having me.
next week, we're going to have a great guest. I do not know who it's going to be yet, because we're changing some people around in the next couple of weeks. And we'll have another great Culinary Delight show, because we got some great guests coming up in the next 2 months. And you're going to be surprised on some of them, how great Richard was tonight, or the morning. And we want to welcome him, and also we want to wish everybody a great Saturday. And tune in next week at 7 a.m. for another edition of the Culinary Delight Show. I'm Ken Coe.